I'm watching something right now about some guy had a near-death experience. Fucking lay off. A near-to-death experience. San Juan. Don Juan. You know, Carlos Castaneda's Don Juan. It's just death is always coming up behind you. And as fast as you want to look, you won't ever see him because he's faster. You can fucking run all you want. You can check your shoulder. Every time you check your shoulder, that means you're closer to death. Because just like that one Olympic fucking example, the guy running, winning the Olympic fucking whatever running thing he was doing, and there's video, he looks over his shoulder because he senses his fucking opponent, which I suppose is what death is, if we're gonna fucking walk like we do. He sensed his opponent, looked over his shoulder, and just at the moment he was looking over his shoulder near the finish line, it slowed his pace just enough to where he had looked over the wrong shoulder. And his opponent come running by him on the other side. Just enough extra time. You feel death creeping up behind you. Just fucking put the pedal to the metal. I'm watching this thing about this guy in that place. And, you know, talks about death. You know, how we have these visions and shit like that. Death is the perfect place for it. These other things we encounter in the interim, on the way, between life and death, they're just like a trailer, like a preview for death. We have these things with the ark. He mentioned an ark. He mentioned his vision being forever in an ark. And that doesn't make sense to say, you know, in our language, because of the way we think of an ark and the way we see a tunnel. A tunnel is straight and the ark is bending. It doesn't make sense to say it that way, but I think there are different ways of seeing things. Like in that Stephen King novel, when Grandma Abilene, whatever the hell her name was, this old woman, she, just like the Amerindians when they would go out on their vision quests, you don't eat, you go long periods, maybe eat some sticks or something, just enough to keep yourself going. Long periods of wakefulness to the place where you're not really awake anymore, but you're still moving. That place, it's like stepping into the fabric of the shroud. How do you like that? Like everything you see, it keeps you from seeing. If you can come into it, yeah, you're in a special place. You can see both sides. Knowing these things, you know how fragile people are. How you are what you eat. Whatever's being thrown on them, that they're like, okay, this'll do. I gotta have something. That's what they become. I know that people are open to temptation. The only thing that can save you, not from temptation, but within temptation, the only thing that can save you is a wider perspective. Which is it that's going to work best for me? You have to be careful. Not everybody has the ability to see both sides. And if you do, if your life's going to be in any way decent with the shit that comes and goes and the fucking puddle in the pond, the waves that go out and come back, you have to make a choice that is good. That's a Valiant's call. It's giving something value. Good. Like, it's a virtue. Good. You know the opposite, don't you? You. The difference between good and you. There is no evil. There's just this base mentality. And I think of when I was in church, in St. Mary's Church at Christmas the one time. And it's always packed at church. That's when people come out. I'm standing at the back, and I had a beard, and my hair was just fucking perfect. And when it came time to where you say, peace be with you, rather than the time now when you say, and with your spirit, ridiculous. If they were going to change it to anything, they should have just said, peace be with you. And peace be your spirit. Not, and with your spirit. Peace be with you, and with your spirit. And peace be your spirit. There was like a 17-year-old girl there, and I turned to the father right away. I went to the man of the family, and he looked like a decent, upstanding citizen with his wife and his 17-year-old daughter. I don't know why I know she was 17. I could tell by the fucking virginity in her eyes, I suppose. I turned to him and I said, "Itigo arkanade." Oh no. I said, oh, that's what I said to the priest. Be still. Be gone, for I hold the secret of God. Itigo arkanade. Be gone, for I hold the secret of God. I said, vocifrum de, to him. The word of God. And he was happy to see me. And I must have had a light above him or something shining on my beard and my fucking hair and my fucking Jesus impression. It's Jesus and Judas. And I shook hands with the woman, and then I looked at the girl, took her hand, and she took my hand, and she was looking up at me. And the light was on her the same as I'm making believe it was on me. But the light was on her, and she was just glorified. And I said, peace be with you. And she said, peace be with you too. She was so happy. I just let it flow, you know. I played a game, and at the same time I quit playing. That's how I played it. I'm bringing joy to these fucking Catholics. Not often they get something like that. especially if they hold on for 17 years and they're still trying to fucking believe. That's a long, hard road. 17 years is nothing, and it feels like a lifetime. You got about fucking 6 more of those. Wow, that's only 103. But you look at that, you look at how you can just touch somebody like that without fucking tearing them apart. And you realize, when I was even younger than that, still in school, I remember there was some sort of thing, like a problem about the priests in the Gaylord, or the diocese had a condo in the Bahamas. They needed a place to rest. On sabbatical. I'm gonna go do a sabbatical. That's when they study what the regular people are doing in all their hedonism. You know, they go study that. Is that a sabbatical? That's what studies are for. Sabbaticals are for, is study, right? So maybe that's what they were doing, going and seeing how the other side lives. And I realized, watching this fucking guy with a near-death experience, he said he was a pastor. And I looked and I said, huh. That just reminded me of something I've always noticed but never put into words. He was not an attractive man to look at. Why is it that all these priests we had growing up, they're not attractive to look at? They become priests and fell in love with God because God had a love for them that humanity didn't. And they're in the sacristy. The other priests can show you God's love. They're not attractive men. So what if I had gone into the priesthood? What if they'd have let me through? Maybe that's why they exiled me. They knew I'd be just too much trouble for the girls. There's a reason they don't allow good-looking men into the priesthood.